does it feel like you're already in the playoffs given the way the AFC is right now?
Oh, kind of. I mean, we keep saying when I talk to y'all every week, it's a must-win. And when you get to playoffs, it's must-wins. And so because of the hole or whatever you want to say that we've kind of dug ourselves into, and even though we're not really in a hole because of the way the AFC is, we're still behind some teams and have to do some work, and we can't let up. And so every game's a must-win. Every game's a playoff caliber game. And so that's the approach we have to take moving forward the rest of the way.
You know, Mike, I like what Ben Roethlisberger said, and he didn't go far enough. He didn't go far enough. You know, every game's a playoff game in this situation. He's talking short term, but he should be thinking long term, because not only does tonight's game represent who the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be for the rest of this season, tonight begins the journey of what the Steelers are going to be next year and maybe even the year after. But I'll go next year. Because if Ben Roethlisberger, let's say he just balls out down the stretch. Let's say he has a lot of Tom Brady in him, some Aaron Rodgers in him, and he just starts to just throw touchdown passes at an alarming rate. Will the Steelers say, oh, will he say, this is my last year in Pittsburgh? Will the Steelers say, oh, we're all set? If they go on a run, if they run the table the rest of the way, is Ben Roethlisberger necessarily done in Pittsburgh? I'm not so sure. This changes a lot of things. I think the Steelers are such an interesting organization because so many people have their contract situations or their next step is in flux. Whether we're talking about the general manager, Kevin Colbert, next step may be in flux for him. Omar Khan, next step, in flux. Ben Roethlisberger on the field. I think Mike Tomlin is staying USC. He's not going to USC. But I think tonight really is a big step for the 2021 Steelers and the 22 Steelers.
Yeah, that
you didn't know I was going there, huh?
No, and I'm disappointed that you did, because that sounds so. That was the sentiment of somebody who's way too attached. Let's put it that way.
Attached to what?
I know you got it. I know you have a terrible towel in your back pocket. I guess just way too sentimental, just way too invested, way too connected to Ben Roethlisberger. No, because Michael, I don't see how. Look, Ben played well last week. He played well last week, and his numbers would have looked better had Deontay Johnson caught that touchdown. I believe it was in the first half.
Okay.
Ben's done. I don't care what happens the rest of this year.
Well,
Ben's done.
Ooh, that's a big statement.
Ben is done. No, I think the writing's on the wall, and if you need to, read it and weep. But that's why we talked about this earlier in the week. The story over the weekend would have been, hey, Ben's coming back after this year. I mean, Ben telling people this is last year in Pittsburgh. Hey, no shit, Sherlock. Of course it is. There's no way Ben Roethlisberger is coming back to Pittsburgh after this season, even if he does find the fountain of youth the rest of the way. At his age, at his salary, it was like pulling teeth last year to figure out the right salary. The Steelers have to turn the page regardless of how it ends. And if it ends with a nice, surprising playoff run, that's great.
How about they go to the I don't believe this happens. But if I take it to the extreme, they go to the Super Bowl and win it, he's done.
Yeah,
they go to the Super Bowl and win. He's done. Oh, really?
If I were running the organization, it would be. I mean, that's it. Hey, great way to end it. Great way to walk out. Great way, ride off into the sunset, a la your former teammate Jerome Bettis. But this is it, because he's shown there have been too many obvious instances of his decline. And it's okay. It happens to everybody except for Tom Brady.
Right.
But everybody except for Tom Brady is going to decline. Unless, I'll give you one caveat. Unless Ben Roethlisberger is actually willing to come back and potentially mentor a quarterback and concede his starting position and lead from behind for a minimal salary not minimum, but relatively speaking, minimal salary, maybe we could have a conversation. But Ben Roethlisberger can't be the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback next year. I don't care what they do the rest of the season.
But now, I just want to be clear on what you're saying.
If I'm running the team.
He can't be that. Right. If you're running the team, he can't be the quarterback for the Steelers because of, is it the decline or
it's
is
time
it
to turn the page?
His hold,
all of the above. It's time.
Or
it's
his
run its
hold
course.
on the organization. Okay. Now,
all of it.
Okay.
All of the above. It's time.
I just want to point
time
out.
to turn the page.
Let me just point this out. I'm not even disagreeing with you fully. I'm not putting my chest in it. Okay. I'm not putting all of my chest into this disagreement. I do want to point out to you though, you and the rest of America, those of you who are, and not comparing the two, but I just want to point this out. Those of you who are saying, what the hell were the Patriots thinking with Tom Brady? What the hell were they thinking? Look at this guy. He's still balling out. MVP. Tom Brady.
Going there?
What I'm saying is they made the decision. They made the decision, and I remember disagreeing in the moment. Like, wait a minute. He's still viable. Yeah, you just decided that 20 years is too long? Is it a random number? They didn't like his salary number? So Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger are completely different situations. But I think it's dangerous for an organization, unless you got a really good reason. Your reason can't be, well, it's been too long. Your reason has to be, we will be better without him. We know we can be better. We need to move on because it's time to get better without Ben Roethlisberger. And if that's the way you feel about it, fine. I'm not so sentimental where I say, oh, you can never move on from Ben Roethlisberger. My point is, do you have a vision? Do you have a strategy? Or you just think
Yeah, it's called the draft. It's called the draft. It's called a trade. I mean, we saw Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers making sweet eyes at each other earlier in the season. I mean, who knows? But Ben Roethlisberger, there's been enough evidence that he's not the same player. Like Michael, many have said this. I'm not saying anything.
I agree.
I'm not saying anything
I agree
new.
with you.
He shouldn't have come back this year. He should have come back this year. Now he's still capable of making some throws every now and then that are vintage Ben, but not consistently enough to where you go through the same song and dance. Not to mention, does Ben even know what he wants to do? Ben's been year to year for how long now? Wondering if he's going to come back, if he's going to retire. I'm the Steelers, I'm not going into the off more than that. I'm not going into the off season. It's definitely more than the last 2 seasons. I'm not going into the off season saying, "Hey Ben, what you thinking? Hey Ben, what you thinking? All right, let's get down to finding a commensurate contract with somebody of your stature and what you've meant to this organization." Like, no. Like, it's been a good run. It's been a good run. Time to exit stage left. And I wouldn't even leave it up to the player. If the player wants to continue his career, go continue it somewhere else. But this organization, it's time to turn the page. And you know this as well as I do. The best organizations get rid of players a year early versus a year too late. One could argue that they were, because they were beholden to Ben and they didn't have a plan in place, they brought him back this year, and at various points they paid the consequences. Your comparison to Tom Brady, Michael, even though the Patriots erred in letting him go and assuming that he was done and that he didn't have what we're seeing from him in Tampa still in him, you could look back at that and say, well, Brady didn't show any evidence of physical decline. He had a piss-poor supporting cast, which is not like Ben's is perfect, in fairness. He had a piss-poor supporting cast, but that was more trying to get ahead of what they thought, correct me if I'm wrong, you're there, what they thought was Brady's inevitable decline given his age.
Inevitable.
Ben, we've seen it. We've actually seen it with Ben.
Okay, so it's nice. It's nice to think that, hey, a quarterback is going to maintain the same level in his 30s or late 30s that he did in his mid to late 20s. That's a nice thought, but it's not required. So if you have somebody like Tom Brady who can do it, good. That's a bonus. But when you're a Hall of Fame quarterback, and I think we both agree Ben Roethlisberger is a Hall of Fame quarterback.
No question.
When you decline, you're declining maybe out of top 5, top 10 status into the 11 to 20 tier. So I don't know where you think he is.
Ben ain't been top 5, top 10 in 10 years. I mean,
wow.
So.
Oh,
what are we
man.
About?
What are you talking about? In 10 years? In 10 years.
Bruh.
Look. Wow.
More than 5. You haven't
somewhere
between 5 and 10. It's been
that's
no.
pretty much like, dude. And Mike, he only
no.
played 18. He's only played 18. I mean, like,
No.
you just chopped his career in half. So he's been on borrowed time, or he's just been a Jag for 8 years.
I don't know the
8 years.
I didn't say a Jag. You said top 5.
Okay.
Top 10.
Okay, I said
that's
top 10.
rarefied air.
Top
like,
5 is
like,
top 10's not. Top
three-
5 is
three
rarefied
quarter-
air.
Three,
I'm with
okay,
you on
three
top 5.
quarterbacks. You get to 10 quick. You get to 10 quick. So you making it seem like I'm dissing Ben. I'm not dissing Ben. Okay, I've known Ben. I've covered Ben
you did that
since he came
yourself.
into the league. No, I ain't
did that
dissing him. I'm
yourself.
saying you sit up there acting like he Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. Man, he all right.
He's not.
Look,
not.
this is a nice. Like,
not that guy.
He's not that guy anymore. That's
He's not.
okay. It's been a good run. Let it end. Kind of like this conversation. Can we move on? Do you mind, or you had
Fine.
anything else?
Okay.
Yeah, you know,
fine.
because
you want to move
you
it.
know how it
Hey,
is with
listen.
conversations.
Hey,
But you know how it is with
I'll
conversations.
be-
You go a little too long, and it kind of ruins
Yeah,
it. If you you
yeah.
just got to kind of know when to stop. You know.
I'll be a little.
Neither of
I'll
us
be
is
a
really
little
good at
petty.
that.
I'll be a little petty and passive aggressive about it. Okay, if you want to move on, fine. Okay, fine.
Because
Okay, all right.
Because
all right.
look,
you want to talk about it? You want to talk about it?
let me
anymore?
tell you-
Okay, fine.
I'll just say this. I would love to see it. I'm glad you introduced this conversation to this show. I would love to see it play out that way. I would love to see Ben shut people like me up down the stretch and take the Steelers back to the playoffs and have one last ride. I'd love to see it. I would love to see it. And that'd be a good problem to have. If Ben is still a viable option going into next year, that'd be a good problem to have. But here's the thing, Michael. I'm not watching Ben Roethlisberger tonight. Or at least I'm not watching tonight's game for Ben Roethlisberger. Can I offer an addendum to our Ben Roethlisberger conversation?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Hey, file this under talking out your ass, okay? In 2018, Ben Roethlisberger threw for 5,129 yards. He had 5,129 yards, 34 touchdowns and 16 interceptions in 18. 14, he had 4,952 yards, 32 and 9. Got hurt in 19. And last year, he had 33 and 10 last year, and then we know what happened down the stretch at the end of the season.
So what would you like to say now?
I think that's recency bias on my part.
Okay,
Recency
so
bias on my
what
part.
would you? Let me just take a sip here as you tell me what you would like to amend. You had an
You want to
addendum.
apologize?
Now you need an amendment. So tell me about your Roethlisberger amendment as I sit here and have a drink.
Okay, look, no, okay, listen. I said he hasn't. If we were, I'm not going to go back to 2011. I'm not going to go back to 2011 and try to rank the top 10 quarterbacks from each of those seasons. That would be that's unnecessary. The point was that he has not been
but you say
top 5 or top 10. In other words, elite. I don't think he's been elite. He's put up great numbers, but I don't know that I would characterize Ben Roethlisberger as being an elite. So I'll meet you halfway. I'll literally meet you halfway.
Okay.
What if he has been between 5 and 10, not top 5, but maybe pushing for top 10 more recently than I remember. How's that?
Well, see, I would say this. When you mention top 5, it's a different category. 5 goes fast. 10 does not go fast. 5 does. And then once you get to I think in most sports, and when you talk about top 10 players, especially in basketball, hey, this guy's top 10. Most people have they have the same 5 or 7, but once 8, 9, 10 is all over the place. 8, 9, 10, the standards change. We usually see it the same way in the top 5, top 7, then it gets crazy.
Mike,
so
you'll be surprised.
I would agree with you that Roethlisberger
You'll be surprised
has not been in
that
the top
10
5.
is not easy. 10 is not easy, as easy as you think.
Well, 10's not. Well, the reason I think 10's not easy is because there's somebody I might put at 10. You got that person at 14. Somebody you got at 14. I got that person at 9. The backside of the top 10 is always a little quirky, but we know the top quarterbacks, right? Top quarterbacks. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. And who are you going to add? Who go round up the top 5 with?
Typically,
and maybe
Russell,
you can't get to 5.
could have been Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. No, I'm saying there's a lot of people you could make an argument for, especially this season, given the up and down nature of some of them. I think the amendment I would make to what I said about Roethlisberger is maybe I went a little too hard in acting like the dude hasn't been good for a long time. I think the way he finished last year, the playoffs, this season, probably clouded my judgment on what he's been, but I still hesitate to say that he's been an upper echelon quarterback long enough to think that he's going to somehow rediscover that form down the stretch and at 40 years old have the Steelers thinking it might be a good idea to run this back with Ben again. He's still ticking for now, but I think it's time for new blood at that position, sooner rather than later.
I'm not gonna hit you with a bunch of names. I just want a couple, just so I can see how you view Roethlisberger. I got a couple of names for you. One guy recently retired, one guy still in the game. Did you, in the last 5 years, do you think Roethlisberger has been better than Phillip Rivers, retired this year?
In the last 5 years?
In the last 5 years, would you say, who? If somebody says, who's better, Phillip Rivers or Ben Roethlisberger?
You know, Phillip is my guy, but
I know that's your guy, but who would you say?
I mean, I guess I'll go Ben. I guess.
All right. Right now, in the last 5 years, you think, and here's my last one, because we could do this all day, but I won't. In the last 5 years, Matt Ryan or Ben Roethlisberger?
Probably Ben, but Matt's middle of the league though. But Matt's middle of the league. Like you're not talking Matt. I wouldn't have come at you and said Matt's top 10. No. You conveniently took two old ass quarterbacks, one of whom is coaching high school football now, and asked me if I would take Ben Roethlisberger over those two. Like, I mean, Matt Ryan and Phillip Rivers ain't pushing top 10.
Because they're good comps.
They're good comps because they're washed.
I didn't intentionally.
They're contemporaries. Okay, sure. They're contemporary. Like one of them retired. You know what? And he took a team to the playoffs last year.
That Mike McCarthy feed item is for you. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
I mean,
so we can move forward amicably. Because you know what? Now you're being disrespectful. Now you're disrespectful.
Okay, hold on.
Matt,
I mean, no. Okay, and I don't want to spend no more time on this. Hold on.
We don't have
Brady.
To. I'm wondering where you're coming from though. I just want to know
Brady.
What your context?
Why
is.
you got such a? Why you got such a? I almost said something else. Why you so? I know you're a Steelers fan, but damn, dog, why you so in love with Ben Roethlisberger? Like, okay, he's going to the Hall of Fame, first ballot. There's no argument. His name comes up in that room. Next, he's going in. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of his generation. I have enjoyed watching him play football. I've enjoyed it. But wait a second. Hold on for a second.
What you were going to say? That's only happened to me one time in a sports context. Only once, okay? Only once. Only once.
Brady,
has that
Mahomes,
happened? Anyway, go ahead.
Allen, Prescott, Rodgers, Lamar, typically Russell Wilson, this year notwithstanding.
I don't want typically.
No, but I'm saying, but this year notwithstanding. Tannehill.
How many guys you named? 7? Tannehill
the last few years has been better than Ben. Last few years, Tannehill's been better than Ben.
Man. Okay. See, I told you, once you get to around 8, that's where the fights start. So I'm going to draw the line at Ryan Tannehill. Much respect to him for turning his career around in Tennessee. But I'm going to draw the line right there.
Hey, Chris Sims, question. You know, like you got this Unbuttoned podcast. You know, you're on Pro Football Talk. You're on Football Night in America. You're on social media. You're all over the place. You do a lot of talking. You talk for a living, right? And you do it well. You ever get into a conversation and you get to this point and you've taken a position and then you get so dug in until you end up kind of sort of talking out your ass just a little bit? Just you're taking a little too far. Does that ever happen to you?
I think I know where you're going with this.
I mean, I'm not trying to sound, but I feel like no, because the one thing is I feel like I don't have an ego, and if I reassess and things have changed, then I'll say, wait, things have changed, or I was wrong, because I don't want to be that guy that's just some stubborn SOB.
But before you get there, but before you get to that point, before you get there, like you ever get into an argument and you're saying something, and then you have to realize what you just said, like, oh, because that's what I'm getting at. It's like, oh, damn, like, you know what? Maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought. Or point being this, and we'll get to the larger future of the Steelers conversation that precipitated this. But I'll ask it this way.
Love this.
I'll just ask you the question this way, all right? When is the last time that you considered Ben Roethlisberger to be a top 5 to 10 quarterback? And please don't embarrass me with this answer.
No, I think like top 10, I'd probably look back at like that 2017, 18. I might have thrown him in that range a little bit, right around there. Top 5 quarterback, I'd probably, really anything 2017 before, depending on the year, he always danced around the top 5. I mean, I look at Big Ben as being somewhat underrated in the big picture laurels, I think, of the NFL. I do. I think he's, borderline one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the history of football. I got to sit there and do my list a little bit. But if he's not in the top 10, he's not far down the list from there, at least in my opinion.
Good enough to run it back next year. Good enough depending on how he finishes down the stretch. Okay. No. I think it's over. Well, I just look at, the way he played last year. He is so immobile at this point. He can't move at all. And within that, he's just not the best decision maker there is in the world. The only thing you really see him do right now at this point of his career is throw one-on-one balls to Deontay Johnson or Chase Claypool. But like what we're watching right there, making people miss, typical Big Ben stuff. No, he's basically now almost going to trip over his feet or have a disaster, when he has to move, let alone the decision-making is shaky. The arm is still okay, but it's not special anymore. It was special for a long period of time. So I think between that and then, I think sometimes decisions are made because he doesn't want to get hit or beat up, that it has come to an end. He's pretty limited right now at this point of his career. Michael, before you jump in, just to give you the I just want to give Chris the context. I just want to quickly give Chris the context. So Michael started off the show saying that, the future of the Steelers really starts tonight. Because if the Steelers go on a run led by Big Ben, maybe they something to think about going into next season. I was like you. I was like, no, it's over. Been a good run. You want to finish, you want to keep playing, go play somewhere else. We're moving on in Pittsburgh, right? But then,
yes, it's over, and I'll be shocked if Pittsburgh gets to the playoffs. Like shocked, like absolutely shocked. I don't see it happening at all.
But then, real quick, then I made the mistake. I made the mistake of underrating Big Ben, and I was just he's not I said something to the effect that he hadn't been top 5, top 10 in like 10 years, which was an overstatement. So that was the context of this.
I got you.
Of that whole thing. And I quickly realized that
half of his career.
Yeah, like top 10, top 10 is not that hard to crack.
Yeah, it's a little harsh. I know the point you were trying to make. You went a little far, but go ahead, Michael Holley. What do you want to say?
Okay, you surprised me. Okay, let's move off Ben for a second. Let's get to the team. They are 6-5-1. So they just beat the Ravens. They got 5 games left, and the clubhouse leader in the AFC is 9-4. So one fewer loss than the Steelers. If you really want to break it down, the Patriots 9-4, Steelers 6-5-1. Why would you be shocked if the Steelers say finish with a 4-1 kick, right? And make the play? Why would that shock you?
Well, one, Big Ben's not that good. They're not that good of a running football team. Their defense isn't very dominant. In fact, it's not good. I would say over the last 4 or 5 weeks, it's certainly a bottom 10 defense in football. And then I think I look at their schedule. I mean, listen, Pittsburgh, last week was great. I'm not sure how good Baltimore is. Again, Baltimore's 8-4, right? Am I right about that? Yeah, 8-4.
That's right.
I understand that, but it's one of the uglier 8-4s that I can remember here in recent history. I mean, Baltimore could easily be, 6-6 or 5-7. I mean, it's been a few miracle wins along the way. But what I look at with Pittsburgh too, so I say all of those things that you just heard me say, they can lose to anybody. Damn, they barely, they tied the Detroit Lions just a few weeks ago. But their schedule down the home stretch too, I just look at and go, I don't think it's favorable to them. You know, I certainly think they can lose to Minnesota tonight. I'm picking the Minnesota Vikings to win. And then you got the Titans after that, the Chiefs, the Browns, the Ravens. I look at every one of those teams as being better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. I do. So that's where, again, and I don't mean to disrespect them. I respect the organization. And Tomlin, man, do I respect him. But I just don't think they got enough good players and things to go in that direction right now.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.